What a shame. What a shame. Look, on some level, we did quite well because Newcastle were 2-0 up. When you're losing 2-0 away from home, obviously, at that point, you feel pretty deflated. You feel like a point would be the dream. Then we get the point, and in the end, I get very greedy. It feels to me like 2 points dropped. It feels to me like we could have got so much more out of the game. I know that Newcastle fans will be saying that that they were unlucky. I know they'll be saying that they were 2-0 up. I know they'll be saying that Garnacho should have been sent off. I know they'll be saying that they certainly deserved the penalty. But ultimately, it feels to me like it was 2 points dropped for us. Really gutted. Really, really gutted. Because we do not have a good record at St James's Park. In fact, we have a pitiful record at St James's Park. But when you go away from home, you partake in a crazy game and it ends up finishing 2-2 with the home fans booing at the end. You know, they were furious. It feels like we should have got a little bit more out of the game. Saying that, we were 2-0 down. But it's been a weird week, a tumultuous week for Chelsea and for Newcastle. You know, it feels to me like they are all over the place. Like, overall, I feel like we can be fairly happy with a point. You know, we got fairly lucky. We rode our luck at various points. But generally speaking, I think that we can be fairly happy with the point. But it has been a terrible week. Like Enzo Maresca talking to the press in the way that he did, it feels to me that Enzo Maresca is on his way out. And then you look at what's going on at Newcastle United and you think about what Eddie Howe's been going through. I think that there is an element of pressure on Eddie Howe as well. It's a very weird situation where the point doesn't really do either manager any favour. You know, I think Enzo Maresca is under a fair bit of pressure. I think Eddie Howe is under a fair bit of pressure. A win would have gone so far to solving this. But it's weird, isn't it? Because everything that's going on at Chelsea at the moment, I don't particularly like Enzo Maresca. I don't particularly rate Enzo Maresca. And yet, if it becomes a battle of Enzo Maresca versus the board, I totally back Enzo Maresca. If it becomes manager versus board, I totally back the manager. And all these talks about Enzo Maresca potentially going to Man City, you're like, wait, what? How can you possibly be talking about that being a genuine possibility? Like, Enzo Maresca is a good manager. He is a good manager of a team that are good. He is not a great manager, and he will never be a great manager. So I'm very surprised that he is being linked with Man City. But if the links are true, if Pep Guardiola is genuinely, potentially on his way out, and Enzo Maresca got the opportunity to go to Man City, to work for Sheikh Mansour, to be part of that dynasty that has been built there, I feel like ultimately he would have to take that. He would have to take that opportunity. But today, it was a bad day at the office. It felt like it was going terribly. Like when that big geezer scored straight after the ref blew the whistle. Like, you know, Voltemada puts on 1-0 up after 4 minutes. You think, oh God, here we go again. This is just going to happen. St James's Park has been such an unhappy ground for us. Such an unhappy ground. It's been a ground where we have just struggled so many times. But somehow we dug deep and we got something out of the game. And the reason that we did is because of the magnificence of Reece James. Like, Reece James is undoubtedly one of the best players in the league. I would go so far as to say that if we are talking about like genuine now, top tier footballers, total footballers, I think Reece James is in that conversation. I think Reece James is a complete footballer. I think Reece James is a total footballer. And if you compare Reece James to anyone else who plays in his position, I think he is better than them. I don't want to hear about Kyle Walker. I don't want to hear about Trent Alexander-Arnold. I don't want to hear about Jurrien Timber. Reece James outweighs them all by a mile. Then you think about Reece James as a inverted fullback or a midfielder or whatever, and I'm now genuinely thinking, you know, when you think about this England side going to the World Cup, think about the positions that are up for grabs. There is genuinely a chance that Reece James could play for England in America at the World Cup as a central midfielder. Why couldn't the midfield be Declan Rice alongside Reece James as two central midfielders with maybe Cole Palmer or Jude Bellingham in front of them, Phil Foden, whatever you think it should be? But I think that Reece James has proven that he is totally ready for it. He is undoubtedly a world-class player. In fact, do you agree? Yes or no in the chat. Do you believe that Reece James is a world-class footballer? Or am I going too positive here? I truly believe that he is genuinely world-class. Like, absolutely world-class, and there is no negotiation about it. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind that Reece James is a totally world-class footballer. That is how good he is. But yeah, overall today, it's such a shame that he can play as well as he did and us not win the game. He can score a goal like that and ultimately not win the game. Yeah, it's a shame. Let me see what you're saying all here about Reece James. Is he? Yeah, of course. The genius, the black genius god says, of course. The board's business says yes. In fact, it's almost, of course he is, says JD Synonymous. Mark Gatlin, you're having a laugh with that. Mark Gantonbane says, no, he's not. You're back with another howler. How do you know it will never be great? Because I've seen him in full swing get things wrong. I just don't think world-class managers go to Leeds United and rest 5 players. It's such a basic error. Can he be good? Yeah. Can he turn it on when most necessary? Yeah. Is he capable of elevating to beat the likes of Barcelona and give Arsenal a really good game? Yeah. But then, can he make abominable decisions like he did at Old Trafford when Robert Sanchez got sent off? Can he make horrific decisions to cost Chelsea the game at Old Trafford? Yes. Can he make horrific decisions to cost Chelsea the game at Ellen Road? Yes. So, will he be a world-class manager? No. I don't think he will. I don't think he will be world-class. Can he be a good manager? Can he be a manager of a club that have a good season? Yeah, absolutely. Chelsea had a good season last season, and he was undoubtedly part of that. I'm just reading some madness in the chat here. YTG seems to think that Maresca is definitely a great manager. Okay, I've got to ask you, will you please consult your OED, your Oxford English Dictionary, and look up the word great? Because if Pep Guardiola is great, where does Enzo Maresca rate on the scale? Pep Guardiola being great, Rob Edwards being abysmal. Somewhere between that, where does Enzo Maresca rate? He rates somewhere between Rob Edwards, worst manager in the league, all the way through to Pep Guardiola, best manager in the league. In fact, we've already done the Reece James. Is Reece James world class? We've answered that, and I think the general consensus of this chat is yes, Reece James is world class. Let's do Enzo Maresca. Yes or no, in the chat, do you believe that Enzo Maresca is a great manager? Yes or no? Is Enzo Maresca world class, great, whatever you want to say? Is Enzo Maresca a great? Because I am baffled by what I'm reading here. Absolutely baffled. Let me see why those results come in. You know, I think it's weird that I'm having this conversation now because I've come into this ready to talk about Enzo Maresca, and I am on the front foot with Enzo Maresca. I am supportive of Enzo Maresca, particularly if he's going to go to war with our board. I'm totally in favour. Right, let's see what people are saying about Enzo Maresca. Is Enzo Maresca world class? No. Yes, says the Diet Bald 534. Definitely not, says Big P. Not even close, says Walter. No, says Stabber is back. No, but he's not dreadful either, says Lewis. Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think they're the only two. They're the only two options. Worst manager in the league, Rob Edwards. Best manager in the league, Pep Guardiola. You go along, you go Pep Guardiola, Unai Emery. You go right the way through. Arne Slot obviously deserves a mention here as a champion. You go right the way through. You then come to the likes of maybe Mikel Arteta, Enzo Maresca, that level. You then go down a bit further, and then you end up at Rob Edwards. Enzo Maresca is somewhere about the top of the middling managers, isn't he? The top of the middling managers. I think that's about where he is. But look, like I say, I am completely and utterly in favour of Enzo Maresca if he's going to declare war on our board. So let us see how that plays. Let us see how that plays out. Do you know what? The more and more I think about this game, the more gutted I am. It feels like it's 2 points dropped. Like, if we could have gone to St James's Park and won, bearing in mind Newcastle United, they're struggling, you know. They're struggling. They are a little bit all over the place. Like, they're 11th in the league. They are the very definition of a mid-table team. And the fact that we've gone there off the back of a very they've had a very difficult time of it. I know they had a decent win in the week, but this time last week, they lost to Sunderland. Like, that is going to rock the city. That is going to rock the club. That is going to rock them into moonlight. So I thought that we could go and kind of add to the issues that they're having. But sadly, it just didn't work out that way. Can I ask you a favour, by the way? I love having these chats with you. Will you please just like the stream? Really does help us out. If you'd be kind enough to like the stream, we might be able to nudge it to over 100 likes. If you would be kind enough to just click that like button. Really does help me out. So thank you very much. Walter there says top half at best regarding Enzo Maresca. I think he's a little bit better than that. I think he's kind of top half of the top half. But where exactly, I don't know. 6th maybe? 5th, 6th, 7th best manager in the league? So yeah, I think it is a real shame. Jake, a Tottenham fan there, says Newcastle drew to Tottenham at home. They really are shocking. Yeah, I mean, you are right. I expected more today. But it's going to be a great weekend of football, isn't it? We've got so much to discuss. There's so much going on. The fixtures this week, particularly today, are very, very exciting. All the big games are going on at the moment. Manchester City, they've just kicked off against West Ham United. Obviously, we've seen Chelsea draw away from home at Newcastle United 2-2. There is so much to get our teeth into. Liverpool play at 5:30 against Tottenham. And do you know what? I think there's a conversation to be had about Liverpool. Liverpool have a lovely run of fixtures. Their next 4 fixtures, if you look up Liverpool's next 4 fixtures, bearing in mind they beat Brighton in their last fixture, Liverpool are very likely to win their next 4 in a row, bearing in mind they beat Brighton already. If they do, they then go into the Arsenal game. There's a chance that they could go into the Arsenal game, 7 points behind Arsenal? They go into that game, they beat Arsenal. Suddenly you're looking at Liverpool and they're back in a title race. It's a crazy season. You think about how brilliant Arsenal have been this year. You think about how terrible Liverpool have been this year. And how isn't there a 20-point gap? How isn't there a 15-point gap? How is it that they are still in touching distance? How is it that Manchester City are capable, bearing in mind the season that they've had? They've lost 4 times already. They lost to Brighton. They lost to Tottenham. They could go top of the league today. They could go top of the league today. So it is a fascinating league. It is a fascinating day of football. So let me know the way that you are feeling about it. I think there's so much to really get stuck into. No goals in anywhere in the league just yet, sadly. Everything is 0-0. Wolverhampton Wanderers, are they going to break Derby County's record? Are they? Oh, a bit of good news. A little bit of good news has just landed. Erling Haaland, the main man, the governor, that is Erling Haaland, has just put Man City 1-0 up. That is exactly what we want to see. That is exactly what we need. And do you know what? It's a very defeatist mentality from me. But you know the principle. I'm like Sun Tzu. You know the art of war. My enemy's enemy is my friend. I don't want Arsenal to win the league. Therefore, Manchester City, Pep Guardiola, Erling Haaland have to insulate me from the pain that is Arsenal winning the league. I now support 3 teams in the league. I support Chelsea, I support Man City, and I support whoever Arsenal are playing. That's how it has to work. So the fact that City are 1-0 up, the fact that Erling Haaland has put them 1-0 up, in the least surprising news of the day, Haaland scores against West Ham United. Manchester City lead 1-0. Yeah, very good news. Very good news. Isn't it horrible, though? It's a horrible state of affairs. When you think about how good Chelsea have been over the years. For the majority of my lifetime, Chelsea have been an elite club who only strive to win the league. We aren't even at the turn of the year, and I'm already not feeling a rivalry with Man City. I'm already feeling a friendship with Man City in order to preserve the status quo, in order to make sure that Arsenal do not win their first title for 22 years. So good news to see City score. It'll be interesting to see, won't we, if Arsenal crack under the pressure. Look, I think Arsenal will beat Everton. Of course I do. I feel like they will go and they will beat Everton. Everton are without Njai, which is obviously a major issue for them. But Jack Grealish playing at Everton, you know, there's a world where they could do it. They're up against it. You know, no Dewsbury Hall, no Njai. But it's a difficult game. And sometimes when you think about the way that Arsenal have been playing, it's not really about what the opposition are like. You know, they played Wolverhampton Wanderers last week. I thought Wolves were really good. I thought Wolves have been good against Manchester. I think Wolves have been a good side. Like, you know, when people talk about Wolves being the worst ever Premier League side, they're not. They're just not. And they will break Derby County's 11-point record. Like, you know, Wolverhampton Wanderers are already better than Southampton were last year. You know, Russell Martin, Southampton, they are already better than them. But it's going to be a huge day today for Arsenal, because if Man City win, and look, they're 1-0 up after 10 minutes at home to West Ham, so it's looking like they're going to accrue the 3 points. Symbolically, they're going to go top of the league. How do Arsenal react? It is going to be a disaster for Mikel Arteta. Disaster if Pep Guardiola is top of the league. Pep Guardiola could be top of the league on Christmas Day. Now that feels symbolic in itself, doesn't it? That would feel genuinely symbolic in itself. Imagine if Guardiola is top of the league Christmas Day. Like, I think for the first time in a long time, Guardiola will genuinely believe that his team are likely to win the league. I don't think he came into this season expecting to win the league. I don't think they thought that they were actually capable of winning the league. But now they'll look at the running, they'll look at the way that Arsenal have been playing, they'll look at the vulnerability of Arsenal, and most crucially, they'll look at the title at the table, and they will think that they can do it. They will genuinely believe that they can do it. Enzo Maresca has said that he will be the Chelsea manager next season. The fact that he's come out and said that he will not be the Man City manager. He will not take charge of Man City next season. He has dismissed the links with Manchester City. The fact that he has come out and said that he will be the Chelsea manager. He's come out in a bullish way and said that he will not let any talk about his future distract him from what is going on at Chelsea. I got a bad feeling. I do not believe that Enzo Maresca will be the Chelsea manager next season. Like, I hope to be wrong. I love the idea of him being the Chelsea manager next season. I love the idea of a bit of continuity. Don't get me wrong. I don't rate him especially highly, but I think he's learning on the job. I think we've seen a development that suggests that he could be a good Chelsea manager. But I just don't think he'll be there. I really don't. Do you know, as a Chelsea fan, I reckon Chelsea fans are the best in the league for recognising this. We're certainly the most experienced. You know, when it starts going wrong with a manager, a Chelsea fan has a sixth sense for it. We know when a manager is on his way out. We can feel it. And Enzo Maresca sort of suggesting that he deserves more power, I think he's kind of got a point, right? He can argue that he deserves more power over the transfers and whatever else. He doesn't like the fact that the squad is so inexperienced. He might believe that he deserves more power. He might be correct. You might agree with him that he has done enough to deserve more power. But the way the board run the club, it will not happen. He is totally barking up the wrong tree if he genuinely believes that he will have genuine influence over the way that Chelsea is structured. Like, he will think about the way that, I don't know, Sir Alex Ferguson ran Manchester United. Brian Clough ran Nottingham Forest. That is just never going to happen at Chelsea under this ownership. The directors and the owners are the bosses. And Enzo Maresca is merely there to steer the ship. It's not correct. It's not how it should be. Football people should run football clubs, not venture capitalists. American venture capitalists trying to steer the club in a particular direction isn't what should be happening. I don't particularly like Paul Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart either. I don't like this policy of only young. I would rather give the keys to the kingdom to Enzo Maresca. He's not a particularly good manager. He's not the greatest that we could get, but he's learning on the job. He's delivering. He's achieving most of what he does. But despite all of that, there is no doubt in my mind that Enzo Maresca will not be the Chelsea manager next season. Like, all these links already. You know, this Liam Rosenior. Like, it feels like it's just going to happen. You know, it feels like the history of Chelsea tells you that Enzo Maresca, talking about the sort of unfairness in the system, is only going to end in one outcome. And look, I find Maresca a little bit of an enigma. Like, I don't quite understand him. I find him difficult to process. He's a mystery. But I prefer him to the ownership. I far prefer him to the ownership. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens with Enzo Maresca. But realistically, I don't believe that he will be the Chelsea manager next season. And if he isn't, I have absolutely no idea where we're going to go with it. If he isn't, I have absolutely no idea where we will go. Like, I really don't. I think Liam Rosenior is the kind of world in which it would operate, but it isn't particularly the manager that would inspire me. I would want an elite level manager, a top tier manager. But it's very unlikely that will happen. Can I ask you a massive favour, by the way? Would you please click subscribe? If you are watching this and you are not subscribed, would you do me a massive favour and click that subscriber button? I'm going to be going live loads today. Basically, after every game, we will be live. So please do click subscribe, put the little notification bell on so that you will be notified the second that I go live. And it's always a joy to hear what you have to say. It's always a joy to talk football through with you. So please do that. I've just seen a quick super chat has just landed. Bear with me. It's from Sharoon. What's happening, sir? He says, Rory, I actually love Maresca, but I saw this City thing happening 4 to 5 weeks ago. And if he goes, I want Fabregas before him and Fabregas now. I'd love Fabregas at Chelsea. It's a really emotional one. It's a really romantic idea. Cesc Fabregas achieved the impossible, didn't he? He went from persona non grata at Chelsea into, in my opinion, one of our greatest Premier League players of all time. I did a video with Matisse. I'm sure that some of you have seen it. Some of you may have not. If you want to see it, me and Matisse, we went through our top 10 Chelsea players in the Premier League era. We ranked it from 10 to 1. And a quick spoiler, Cesc Fabregas made it into mine. So obviously, I'll be desperate to have him at Chelsea as manager. Thank you so much to everybody for tuning in. Sharoon, appreciate that super chat massively, sir. Going to be going live loads over the festive period. So please do get in touch. Let me know what you are thinking I love discussing football with you. We're going to be going live straight after the 3 o'clocks, and then again straight after the 7:30, and then again straight after the 8 p.m s. So make sure you're subscribing, and I'll see you all a little bit later. Ta-da!